What movies do you think of when you think of Val Kilmer?
I mean, I think the first one that comes. Well, you know what? I don't know.
There's a lot.
I feel it depends on my mood or how. I want to say it's Tombstone immediately because I feel like that's the most repeated, especially in like if you work in an office, people like to quote Tombstone.
Right.
Right.
I'm your Huckleberry.
I will call down the thunder. You call down the thunder. But I don't know. I feel like maybe it's Iceman from Top Gun because of that was the biggest movie ever just a couple of years ago. And he sort of got a farewell in that movie, right?
He did, and I didn't know if it was prophetic or not, that it felt like a farewell to this world, to not only Hollywood, but to us. Because for me, I mean, he spans generations, and, you know, the diversity of him as an actor. He has two of the most, in my opinion, beloved and underrated comedies of all time in Top Secret and Real Genius.
Top Secret is a bit underrated.
It's way underrated. Like, it just felt like Airplane cast such a big shadow on that you don't realize Top Secret can go blow for blow with Airplane as far as gags go. For sure. I mean, you got skeet surfing, shaking the rug.
I would argue it's a better movie, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's a more entertaining movie. It's the jokes are kind of smarter, and it's not because Airplane was just literally a beat for beat ripoff of that one movie.
Yes.
Airport 71 or whatever it's called.
Yep.
Top Secret was sort of riffing on. It's like the original Not Another Disaster movie kind of thing, right? Because it was riffing on like World War II movies and Elvis and things like a lot of stuff going on.
Just everything about it. And he was perfect. And that was basically his film debut in Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, he turned down the role, Kyle MacLachlan's role in Blue Velvet.
Wow.
He said that was one of his biggest regrets.
And yeah, he would have been perfect for that.
I don't know. I can't picture it with anybody else. Honestly.
I know. It's just like it is hard. But I think he would have, in another universe, we get that version of Val Kilmer in there. But again, going back, Real Genius, what a great title, because it is a smarter comedy. Like, it's almost a comedy for at the time when it was not cool to be a smart nerd, but you actually did enjoy it. I mean, I think of like lasers and popcorn every time I think of Real Genius, and then Laszlo like living in the closet. Like, how great was Real Genius? Everybody wants to rule the world. Anytime I hear that song, Real Genius pops into my head.
I feel like people were confused by that movie. I think the tone was a little ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time.
In the moment, it was like you couldn't back in that time in the 80s, you got to understand, nerds were hated by the world.
Yeah.
Nerds were the scourge of society. Nobody wanted to invite them to a party. Nobody wanted to do anything with them.
Right.
And this movie presented the idea that nerds could be cool. And I think, society rejected that.
Yeah, 100%. And think about this, dude. When it comes to Val Kilmer, everybody has the Zack Snyder versus James Gunn debate now as far as release the Snyderverse. Val Kilmer was Batman.
Right.
Val Kilmer was Batman for one Batman.
Yeah.
And for I think it was a great even though it was a change of tone, moving away from Tim Burton, but it still kept a little bit of it. But he was Batman.
He was Batman. He was also Blunt Man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which we forget sometimes, that he played Batman and Blunt Man.
Yeah. I mean, I think he enjoyed the reputation he had because, again, he went from... I don't feel like he ever went back to comedies, but if you listen to interviews with him, I think he enjoyed, taking the piss at a lot of his, serious angles.
Well, did you see his documentary on Prime?
No, I didn't.
It's a documentary about Val Kilmer, and it's basically all his home footage from throughout his life. So it's all this videotape footage.
Oh, wow! No,
through all his movies, yeah. So you can, it's really good. You should check it out. I think it's it's good to rewatch now. In sort of retrospect. But did you know he had a reputation? He was very difficult to work with.
Yeah, sometimes I wondered because, weirdly enough, one of my favorite 70s movies growing up is, The Island of Dr. Moreau, and he was in the remake of that, which then also had Marlon Brando, who also had that reputation. And you wondered, if that was something that he kind of leaned into, of that reputation, or it was that's just like an actor that can get that deep in there. Just very... for some reason, I think of Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer in the same breath. Now, granted, people would say Brando, he created method acting. Maybe it's not the same, but I feel like if Val Kilmer would have came earlier, you would have been talking about him the way that people were talking about Brando in the 80s.
Brando in the 80s?
Yeah.
Wasn't Brando in the 60s?
No, but I'm just saying, like, his reputation that took that long to go through. Like, because I even remember, like, the big deal of, going back to DC movies of having Marlon Brando in a Superman movie playing Jor-El.
Oh, right.
And it just, like, and everybody was almost like the whole tiptoeing around it. And then fast forward to him in Island and Dr. Moreau, who inspired Mini-Me, right? That movie inspired Mini-Me.
Is that true?
He had that. But it's just like, it's almost like Marlon Brando was just being his wacky self, and somehow that Brando residual turned into Val Kilmer, and maybe he kind of leaned into that, but then he was one of those actors you didn't know if that's how he really was, or if he was doing another role, and we never know how he really was.
Yeah.
He was here not too long ago, right? For a movie premiere when, I know he had his, the throat cancer, so he always wore that scarf, but
Right.
where we shot that, that old West town. They
Right,
did
right,
something
right.
with didn't Alamo do something with him there?
that's in the documentary I mentioned.
That
actually.
is, okay.
So if you watch it, it follows that. But yeah, that was a few years ago. I don't recall when. I think he was like a classically trained actor.
Yeah.
He went to like Juilliard, which like Robin Williams did too, and all that stuff. I think they take acting very seriously. He took acting very seriously, but I think also no one is insusceptible to that. The lure of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And sorry, it can turn your mind.
It does.
And you can become a different person. You can just lose control, I think. So I think he maybe fell into that a little bit. I think in his older years, he seemed a lot more humble. You know what I mean? But I mean, when you're a young, handsome actor, you're Iceman.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to take anybody's shit? No.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah, I know, because I mean, even though it was a Tom Cruise movie and, you think of Goose, I mean, Iceman, you can be my wingman anytime. I mean, that's in there. And then it was, again, I think that had a lot. I personally think that second Top Gun, obviously everybody was very into the Remember Berries. I think, again, that scene of having that reunion of there where everybody knew, Maverick and Iceman, that hugging it out and knowing that he had a real issue. It was very meta. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why they felt it, because it felt real.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Iceman.